Okay. Hello everyone. On behalf of entire ISFCP family, I, Dr. Pooja Chawla, Professor at ISF College of Pharmacy, Moga, welcome you all in the dialogue series conducted by IQAC cell of ISF College of Pharmacy. So today, the speaker right now with us is Dr. Neeraj Verma. Dr. Neeraj Verma is an experienced professional in the field of pharmacy and pharmacology with a focus on diabetes and natural medicines. She holds a PhD from Shiksha Anusandhan, deemed University, Bhubaneswar, Odisha, awarded in September 2014. She completed her M.Pharm in pharmacology from Bundelkhand University, Jhansi, and her B.Pharm from UP Technical University, Lucknow. She also holds a D.Pharm from the Board of Technical Education, UP Lucknow, during 1997 to 1999. Dr. Verma has an impressive academic background and she has published several research papers in reputed scientific journals. Her research focuses on phytopharmacology, diabetes, and drug discovery. She has participated in various national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, and also served as resource person and speaker in different events. In addition to her academic and research achievements, she has received several awards and recognition for her contributions to the field of pharmacy. She has significant teaching experience holding various positions in different pharmaceutical institutes. Currently, she is working as professor and director at Hygia College of Pharmacy, Lucknow. Dr. Verma is also actively involved in academic and professional community, being a member of various organizations and serving on the editorial boards of several scientific journals of repute. She has more than 18 years of professional experience in teaching and research, has work experience with Hygia College of Pharmacy, Lucknow, Goel Institute of Pharmacy and Sciences, Hygia Institute of Pharmacy Education and Research, Lucknow, Jalkanyan Institute of Technology Excellence, Lucknow, RPS College of Pharmacy, Barabanki. She is life member of Vigyan Bharati Indian Pharmacological Society, India, and various other organizations at national level. She has more than 28 research papers in index journals and she has authored 2 books and 3 granted patents and 1 filed patent. She has made scientific deliberations in many national and international conferences and has given several invited lectures. She is guiding 5 PhD scholars and 3 M.Pharm students. However, 12 students have been awarded the PG degree. She is editorial board member of ACTA Scientific Medical Sciences, Journal of Drug Discovery and Development, and many other journals of repute. So, without taking much time, I would like to welcome Dr. Neeraj Verma for her lecture today. And the topic of her lecture is Pathogenesis of Dementia, Unraveling the Complexity of a Serious Neurological Disorder. Ma'am, once again, I welcome you on behalf of entire ISFCP. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the nice introduction, madam. I wanted to extend my sincere gratitude for giving me opportunity to present the above topic during online lecture series under the Aegis of IQAC-IIC Moga. It is an honor to be able to share my insights and knowledge with audience. So once again, welcome audience for this lecture, which is dependent on the pathogenesis of dementia, unraveling the complexity of a serious neurological disorder. I will not discuss too much in elaborated form, but I will deliver only those points which are useful for the audience, or means I think maximum audience is the student, so that is good for them. So without delay, I want to start. Should I start, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, please. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now, what is dementia? It is a collective term for a range of cognitive impairments that interfere with the daily functioning and quality of life. In this presentation, we will explore the underlying mechanism and factors contributing to the development of dementia. It is a very simple term, dementia. Somewhat it is related with the Alzheimer disease, or we can say dementia is a part of Alzheimer disease. It is a progressive neurodegenerative disorder that affect the cognitive functions, that is memory, language, decision making abilities. It is a serious brain disease that affects memory, ability to make the decisions, daily functioning, mood and behaviors, all these social manners which can influence the individual personality. It may begin as a problem remembering new information but slowly gets worse over time and cause problems with a person's ability to get through the day on their own. In this presentation, we explore the underlying mechanism and the factors contributing the development of the dementia. People confuse with the Alzheimer disease with the dementia. Dementia is a general term for the symptom like decline in the memory, reasoning, and other thinking skills, while the Alzheimer is a specific brain disease that accounts for the 60 to 80% of dementia cases. We can say the dementia is only loss of memory, whether it is related with the reasoning, whether it is related with the thinking skills, or related with the memory. Dementia is a major public health concern, particularly among the aging populations, which are between the 60 to more than the 60 to 65 years old patients. According to the WHO, there are the currently 50 million people living with the dementia worldwide, and this number is expected to the triple by 2050. So it will be the major cause of the uh, persons who will be sufferer of this disease. Before discussing with the dementia, we should understand the anatomy and the neurological basis of the brain. What is the brain? Everybody knows that it is a complex organ composed of billions of nerve cells, or we can say neurons, which are responsible for the processing and transmitting information throughout the nervous system. Understanding the brain structures, we should know the small about the neuron, what is the neuron and what is the synapse and what is the neurotransmitter, because for any impulse or for any action we need these three: neurons, synapse and neurotransmitter. What are the neurons? These are the fundamental building blocks of the brains. They receive, process and transmit the electrical and chemical signal towards the other another neurons, this allowing them to communicate between the different region of the brain and to the rest of the body. They play a recognition role in the cognition, memory, behavior and sensory perception. Second is the synapse. What is synapse? Neuron communicate with each other through the synapse. It is the place, or we can say it is a gap between the two nerve cells where one neuron transfer its charges to the another. When an electrical signal or action potential or impulse reaches to the end of one neuron, that is the presynaptic neuron. Means if we discuss about one or two neuron, then uh, from one neuron the information goes to the two number of neuron. The number one neuron is known as the presynaptic neuron because it is lies before the synapse. It triggers the release of neurotransmitter into the synapse. What is neurotransmitter? It is the chemical messenger that cross the synaptic gap and bind with the specific receptors on the receiving neuron or number two neuron, that is the postsynaptic neuron. The binding either excites or inhibit the postsynaptic neuron or neuromembrane, transmitting the signal and further the action generated. Some of the neurotransmitters which are responsible for the action are the acetylcholine, serotonin, dopamine, glutamate, GABA. Lots of neurotransmitter are releases. This is the simple structure that one is neuron 1 and one is neuron 2. You can see here the synapse which form the dendrites and the between the dendrites of both neuron. One is the terminal dendrites and other is the starting dendrites. Now, before understanding the dementia, we have to study the structure of the brain. Here, the brain structure shows that it contains the frontal lobes, temporal lobes, brain stem, cerebellum, and parietal lobes, and these are the cortex. Here, this picture shows the various area which are which are the associated with different activities. Suppose The cortex, it is a part of cerebrum. Suppose we talking about the motor cortex, it is related with the movement. Frontal lobe, it is related with the judgment, foresights and voluntary movements. Broca areas is related with the speech. Frontal lobes related with the smell. Temporal lobe related with the intellectual and emotion functions. Brain stem related with the swallowing and breathing and all these functions which are shown in this sensory area related with the pain, heat and other sensation. Parietal lobe related with the language. Temporal lobe hearing. Occipital primary visual area, means all the areas which are denoting here, they are really affected in the dementia, Alzheimer disease, and cause the dementia. Now, the role of different brain regions in the memory and cognitive behaviors, which we have seen the pictures here, the written in the written form. Just for example, hippocampus, it is related with the memory formation and consolidation. In Alzheimer disease, significantly impairs the ability to form the new memories. And the frontal cortex, it is related with the cognitive functions, including reasoning, decision making, plannings, and problem solving, and other role as suppose personality development, behavior and emotion regulation of that particular person who is sufferer. Temporal lobes, it is related with the comprehension, object recognition and auditory processing. Parietal lobe related with the sensory information, as we studied there earlier. Here the types of dementia. What is dementia? Here in the picture we are seeing that a number of people under a one umbrella, because dementia is the umbrella term for the number of neurological condition, of which the major symptom include the global decline in brain function. It is a condition that has been noted in the people for hundred of years. We now know dementia is a disease symptom or not a normal part of the AZ. In normal social life, we are saying that he or she crosses the 60 years of her total life period, then he usually we can forget everything. We cannot write the earlier memory which we we can write all these things. मीन्स कि अब ये नहीं लिख पाएगा, अब ये 60 साल का हो गया है, ऐसा कुछ हम लोग बोल देते हैं. बट इट इज नॉट रिलेटेड विद द ओनली रिलेटेड विद द एज. It is a disease. We should understand that it is a disease. There are 100 diseases that may cause the dementia. The most common cause of dementia include the Alzheimer disease, vascular dementia, dementia with the Lewy bodies. Alzheimer disease accounts for roughly 50 to 60% of diagnosis rates. Number of sufferers are with the Alzheimer disease. What is this Alzheimer disease? It is the most prevalent neurodegenerative disorder and leading cause of the dementia worldwide. It primarily affects the older individual, typically over the age of 65. Although the early onset forms can occur in the rare cases. Uh, Here I want to discuss about a movie which came at the 2008, that is You, Me or Hum. In this movie we saw that Kajol is sufferer was with the Alzheimer disease. She play a role of the patient who has AD, and how the Ajay Devgan, means hero of the movie, helps her to memorize those things which has been passed with together them. So a number of examples you can see with the Alzheimer disease. The reason of the Alzheimer disease is the amyloid beta. This hypothesis is very much prone to show that Alzheimer disease is occur due to the amyloid beta formation, because accumulation of a peptide that is known as amyloid beta, it plays a critical role in the development of AD. It is a fragment of a large protein called the amyloid precursor protein, that is APP, which is normally present in the brain. This protein is already present when it form in the cluster form. This cluster deposited in the brain, and which is responsible for the Alzheimer brain. In the picture you can see the difference between the normal brain and the Alzheimer brain. Here, the cortex area is somewhat shrink inside, and the white matter is not equally distributed. This is the difference between the internal structure of the brain. So, in the amyloid beta protein, amyloid plaques formation occurs. In AD, the abnormal processing of amyloid precursor protein leads to the generation of AB, we can say, amyloid beta fragments that tend to aggregate and form clumps outside the neuron in the brain. These clumps are known as amyloid plaques. Amyloid plaques are composed of mainly insoluble amyloid beta fibrils and are one of the hallmark pathological features of the AD, which is mainly responsible for the Alzheimer disease. Second is the tau protein pathology. This tau protein is a accumulation of abnormal tau protein collection in the brain. It is this protein stabilizes the internal structure of neurons because it provides support for the microtubules which act as a highway for the transporting essential nutrient and molecules within the nerve cells. When this protein is not capable to do so, uh, now next is the neurofibrillary tangles formation. In the Alzheimer disease, tau protein undergoes the abnormal modification. It causes the tangle inside the neurons. These tangles called neurofibrillary tangles, and these accumulate and disturb the normal functioning of the neurons, eventually lead the degeneration of those neurons and death occur. Here the chart is so for different proteins, that is PSEN1 nomenclature, PSEN2 and APP EOD mutations, and somewhat mutations occur these genes responsible for the alpha amyloid beta protein aggregation. This form the soluble oligomers or the plaques both, and these are the interchangeable, and this further causes the Alzheimer disease. Neuronal dysfunction and cell, how the neuronal dysfunction and cell death occurs after the amyloid plaques formation or tau protein formation or the neurofibril tangles. This leads to the neuronal dysfunction and cell death in the brain because in the particularly reason critically for the memory and cognitive functions such as hippocampus and cerebral cortex. When the deposition is occur in this region or degeneration, we can say degeneration or the some amyloid beta protein formation is occurs in the hippocampus and cerebral cortex, which are the responsible for the memory and cognitive functions. Synaptic loss and neurotransmitter imbalance. This the neuronal damage cause a degeneration cause the loss of the synapses, which are the connection between the nerve cells, as we heard in the starting, that allow for the communication. This synaptic loss contributes to impaired signaling and communication within the brain. Additionally, the imbalance of the neurotransmitter occurs such as acetylcholine and glutamate further disrupt brain functions or exacerbate cognitive decline because acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter which is responsible for all the functions. It is inhibitory, excitatory in nature, and glutamate is the inhibitory in nature. So these the imbalance of the excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitter occurs, which is responsible for this type of disease or this type of behavior. Second is inflammatory response. These amyloid plaques presence and neurofibrillary tangles triggers the inflammatory response in the brain. Chronic inflammation further damages the neurons that contributes to the progression of Alzheimer disease. Here the amyloid deposition cycle. When the age increases, normally synaptic dysfunction occurs. Normal cognitive decline. This is the normal. As the age is increases, these functions can persist. When there is a AD specific injury, if there is a somewhat AB hypothesis persists, then what occurs? A microglial activation and attendant inflammatory response. You can say the inflammatory response in the neurons occurs. This cause the change of the state, means alter the brain cell physiology, major synaptic dysfunctions and neuronal loss. Finally, the dementia of the Alzheimer type. Here we are seeing that autophagy defects or PS1 mutation, synaptic dysfunction, all these are responsible for the extracellular amyloid beta accumulation or the plaque formation. This All these things are responsible for the microglial activation and attendant of the inflammatory response in the neurons, and finally the dementia occurs. What is the vascular dementia? It is the second most common form of the dementia. In this, the impaired blood flow to the brain leading to the cognitive decline and various neurological symptoms. Vascular, the term vascular denotes the flow of the blood. So it is somewhat related with the blood flow. Unlike the Alzheimer disease, which is characterized by the accumulation of amyloid beta protein or amyloid beta plaques or the tau tangles, vascular dementia is primarily associated with the cerebrovascular disease and their impact on the brain health. What is the cerebrovascular diseases and cognitive decline? Cerebrovascular, as the name suggests, cerebro and vascular. Cerebro means we are somewhat connect with the cerebrum, which is the major part of the brain, or we can say it is directly connected with the term brain. And vascular means blood flow. Yeah, somewhat there is a reduction in the blood flow in the brain is refers to this type of condition that affects the blood vessels supplying in the brain. These disease can lead to the reduced blood flow to the certain area of brain. The total dementia is, depend on the how the blood supply of hippocampal region and the region which is responsible for the cognitive behaviors and the memory. If in these area the blood circulation is not proper, then the neuron will not get the proper oxygen and the nutrients, and they slowly they goes weak, and they deprive of their functions, and they do not function properly. Consequently, cognitive behavior function depend on those affected brain regions are compromised. There are the two main reasons for the cerebrovascular disease, that is strokes or the small vessel diseases. What is stroke? Strokes occurs when there is a sudden interruption of the blood flow to a specific part of the brain, or it is due to any blockage or ruptured blood vessels. Maybe we can say the stroke is the ischemic or hemorrhagic. The brain tissue is in the affected region is damaged, and the cognitive functions associated with the area are impaired. Repeated strokes or large infarct can lead to the cumulative cognitive decline over the time. Now, the second reason is small vessel disease. What is the small vessel disease? Yeah, we can say small blood vessel disease involves the damage and narrowing of the small blood vessels in the brain. This condition is responsible for the low blood flow to the multiple brain areas, leading to the formation of tiny infarct and cause the tissue damage known as the white matter hyperintensitized. Small vessels disease can cause the gradual decline in the cognitive functions. It is associated with the high risk of the developing vascular dementia. How we can manage these risk factors? Vascular dementia is largely prevented by some extent by managing these risk factors which contribute to this kind of disease, that is hypertension. uh, Chronic hypertension, or yeah, we can say high blood pressure, damages blood vessels and increase the risk of strokes and small vessel diseases. So we should maintain, yeah, we should manage. If we are able to manage this kind of hypertension, we can prevent the vascular dementia, or we can reduce the chances of the vascular dementia. Second is the diabetes. As we know, it is a group of syndrome. Uncontrolled diabetes can damage the blood vessels, contributing to the cerebrovascular diseases. So we should maintain the diabetes properly, and by maintaining this we can reduce the vascular dementia. Here the all these theoretical part is represented in the line diagram. Third one is the high cholesterol and atherosclerosis. What is high cholesterol and atherosclerosis? How it can cause the vascular dementia? We know that high cholesterol level can lead to the atherosclerosis, where plaque builds up in the arteries or narrowing the blood vessels, and which is responsible for the slow blood flow in the brain. Maintaining healthy cholesterol levels and adopting a heart healthy diet can lower this risk of vascular dementia. Now, next factor is the smoking and the physical inactivity. Smoking and the sedentary lifestyles are associated with an increased risk of the vascular diseases. Quitting smoking and engaging in the regular physical activity can prevent the dementia, vascular dementia. Now, third one is the Lewy body dementia. It is third most common form. In this, um, there is a complex and challenging neurological disorder that involves the abnormal accumulation of the alpha synuclein protein deposited in the brain. This protein is known as the Lewy bodies. The presence of these Lewy bodies is a hallmark features of the Lewy body dementia and distinguish it from the other type of dementia. What is the alpha synuclein protein deposition and what is the alpha synuclein protein? It is a neuronal protein that regulates the synaptic vesicle trafficking and subsequent neurotransmitter release. For every action, there is a neurotransmitter release is required. If the transmitter release is interrupted by any function, by any reason, so this cause the some type of dementia. When alpha synuclein is the main reason for this is known as the Lewy bodies dementia. It is abundant in brains, while small amount is found in also found in heart, muscles, and other tissues. This deposits interrupt the normal function of the neurons or different by disturbing these neuron functions. It affect the different brain regions, including cerebral cortex, hippocampus, and substantia nigra. This is the major control area, we can say, substantia nigra, which is also responsible for the Parkinson disease. The accumulation of the Lewy body interfere the neuronal communication and leads to the death of the brain, contributing to the development of Lewy bodies dementia. Here the pictorial diagrams. Here the neuronal cell. When there is a mutation in the alpha synuclein protein or reactive oxygen species is form, this reactive oxygen formation or mutation cause the alpha synuclein oxidized aggregation, and this cause the formation of Lewy body, and these collection of Lewy bodies in these different brain area, means cortex, cerebellum, brainstem, affect the different functions. What are the major characteristics of the Lewy body dementia? That is the motor symptoms. What are the motor symptoms? These are the similar as seen in the Parkinson disease. These are the bradykinesia, means slowed movement, rigidity, stiffness of muscles, resting tremors, uncontrollable shaking at rest, postural instability, difficult to maintaining any balance of body. The presence of both cognitive symptoms and motor symptoms in Lewy body dementia is referred to as a Parkinsonism. Now, next characteristic is the visual hallucinations. It is the main common function feature of the Lewy body dementia. In this, people experience complex hallucinations which can be unsettling and distressing. These hallucinations can contribute to the confusion, may lead to the misinterpretation of the environment. Next, the fluctuating cognitive abilities. Lewy body is characterized by this characteristics. That is, the fluctuating cognitive abilities means that individual may experience periods of the relative clarity followed by the sudden declines in the cognitive functions. These fluctuations can occur over hours or days, are often unpredictable. Next is a cognitive impairment. In addition to the motor and visual symptoms, Lewy body's dementia leads to the cognitive decline, including problem with memory, attention, problem solving, and execute functions. Over time, the cognitive impairment tends to the worsen, significantly impacting daily functioning. Next characteristic is the sleep disturbance. Sleep disturbance is associated with the Lewy body dementia. In this, the REM sleep behavior disorder. When we go for the sleep, different sleep disorder, sleep mode. This is the REM, means deep sleep. People with not take the deep sleep in this Lewy body dementia. potentially leading to the injury. Other symptoms may include mood changes, sudden mood swing occur, depression, anxiety, sensitivity of certain medications, particularly antipsychotics. Next type of dementia is the frontotemporal dementia. That the name showed that it is related with the frontal lobe and with the temporal lobe. It is a group of progressive neurological disorder because it is connected with the two lobes of the brain. Unlike the Alzheimer disease, which primarily impacts memory in its early stages, FTD, that is frontotemporal dementia, is characterized by the significant changes of behavior, personality, language skills.
सेम
It
टाइम
tends,
पे चालू हुए क्या ये लोग? आगे पीछे
FTD tends
मैडम
to
15 मिनट
occur
पहले
at a younger age, often between 40 to 65, though it can occur later in life as well. But mainly these group may be affected. Genetic factors associated with the FTD are this can the non-hereditary as well as the hereditary. Approximately 30 to 50% of FTD cases have a family history, suggesting a genetic component of these cases. Several genes have been identified and linked to the familial FTD. Some of the most common genetic mutations associated with the uh, FTD, that is frontotemporal dementia. These genes are the MAPT, that is microtubule associated protein tau mutation. This mutation lead to the abnormal forms of the tau protein, as we read earlier, causing the accumulation of the tangles in the brain, and these tau tangles disrupt the normal function of the neurons and leading to the neurodegeneration. Then other gene is the C9 or F72 gene mutation. The expression of repetitive DNA sequence in the C9 uh, or RF20 72 gene is a common cause of the familial FTD. It is also linked with the amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, a motor neuron disease. The exact mechanism by which mutation cause is not entirely understood yet now, but it is believed that the believed to lead to abnormal protein processing and aggregation of a particular protein. Other genes which are responsible for FTD, that is GRN genes, TARDP genes. These genes are also associated with the familial FTD. Behavioral and personality changes in FTD. Frontotemporal dementia is characterized by the prominent behavior and personality changes, which often occur before significant memory problems. The specific symptoms can vary which region of the brain is affected. Disinhibition and impulsivity. Individual with FTD may act impulsively and lack appropriate social inhibition. They may engage in inappropriate behaviors in social setting and show reduced self-awareness of their actions. Apathy. These are the characteristic how we can identify the FTD type of dementia from others. Apathy and loss of initiatives. FTD can lead to the loss of interest in activities and a reduced motivation to engage in daily tasks. Individual may appear apathetic and show little initiation in starting or completing any activities which is related to the daily routine life. Changes in the eating behavior. Some individuals with FTD develop changes in the eating habits, leading to overeating or a preference for the sweet or carbohydrate rich foods. Next is the emotional blunting. Emotional response can be blunted in FTD, and individuals may show reduced empathy and emotional awareness. Language and speech problems. In some cases, FTD individuals may experience language difficulty, including word finding difficulty, speech production problems, and difficulty in the grammar. What are the risk factors for the dementia? Dementia is as we studied that it is a complex neurological disorder influenced by the combination of genetic, environmental, and lifestyle factors. While some risk factors are which are common, or we can say it is contributing to the development of dementia, is the age. Advanced age is the most significant risk factor for the dementia. The risk of dementia increases with the age, especially in the individual over the 65, and becomes more prevalent with each passing decades. Family history or genetics, if anyone has a family history of the dementia, then especially in the first degree relatives, then there is an increased risk of the dementia. Certain genetic factors such as mutations associated with the familial forms of the dementia can contribute to the risk. Lifestyle choices, diet, an unhealthy diet high in the saturated fats, refined sugars, and processed foods may increase the risk of the dementia. A diet rich in the fruit, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats such as omega 3 fatty acids, and low in the red meat and such sugary foods is associated with the reduced risk. Physical inactivity, sedentary lifestyle is mainly responsible, and no physical activity, no physical exercises, that can be the risk factor for the dementia. Regular physical exercises, aerobic and resistant training has shown the protective effects against the dementia. Smoking is always injurious for the health, as we all know. So it is also increase the risk of dementia, possibly due to its impact on the vascular health and inflammation. Quitting smoking can reduce the risk of. Next is the comorbidities and cardiovascular diseases. Condition like hypertension, high cholesterol, and heart diseases are the risk factor for the dementia. If we manage all these things, we can reduce the chance of dementia. Then diabetes, obesity, cognitive engagements, these are the factors which are responsible for the dementia. But by changing these, by managing these factors, we can prevent the dementia. Next is the reason: chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. Inflammation is the body's natural response to any injury or the inflammation. It is the protective mechanism, and it is aid in the healing process of any injury. However, inflammation becomes chronic and persists over extended periods. It can lead to the damage effect of the body, including brain. If the inflammation occur in the brain, it can show all the all the process which are very harmful for the different parts. If inflammation occur any part of the body, it shows decline function of that particular portion. If it occurs in the brain, then also it declines the function of the neurons. Oxidative stress occurs if any type of oxidative stress which is responsible for the cell injury. This called the imbalance between the productive reactive oxygen species and the body's antioxidant, or we can say the ability to neutralizing them. It occurs when any imbalance occurs. This is responsible for the dementia, or we can say it is responsible for the progression of the disease. Both chronic inflammation and oxidative stress are implicated in various neurodegenerative disorders, including dementia. Damage to the neuron and contribution to the dementia progression. How it can lead a dementia? It is responsible for the neuronal cell death. If any inflammation persists, it releases the pro-inflammatory molecules and reactive oxygen species that lead the death of the neurons. Neurons are particularly vulnerable to the oxidative damage due to their high metabolic activity and the presence of the abundant lipid membrane, making them susceptible to the free radical attack, which is responsible for the cell death, or we can say neuronal cell death. Activation of glial cells during inflammation. Glial cells, particularly microglia, become activated. When these microglia get activated, this the crucial role in the protecting of the brain by removing harmful substances. Excessive activation can lead to the release of neurotoxic molecules, which further damage the neurons. Now, next is the blood-brain barrier. We know that there is a slight barrier between the blood vessels and the brain. Chronic inflammation can compromise the integrity of the blood-brain barrier, a protecting barrier that regulates the passes of the substances between the bloodstream and the brain. Which nutrients, or we can say which substance which are required for the brain, only blood-brain barrier give the permission to pass them to the blood cells of the brain. This dysfunction can allow the entry of the harmful molecules and immune cells into the brain. These cells are, or these harmful molecules cause the neuronal damage. Then aggregation of the abnormal proteins. uh, we read that in the tau, in the Alzheimer disease, amyloid beta and tau protein aggregation is responsible for the Alzheimer disease, leading to the formation of the plaques and the neurofibrillary tangles, also responsible for the Alzheimer disease or the neurodegeneration. Potential therapeutic targets for reducing inflammation and oxidative stress. If we reduce inflammation or the ROS formation, we can prevent the dementia. For this, we use the different types of drugs which are available in the market, that is anti-inflammatory agents. Various anti-inflammatory agents are helpful to reduce the inflammation, known as the NSAIDs. Antioxidants. These antioxidants useful to reduce the or neutralize the ROS, reactive oxygen species. This reduce the oxidative stress. For example, vitamin C, E, coenzyme Q10, flavonoids. Natural sources are there to reduce the chances of the dementia. Lifestyle modification, healthy lifestyle choice including regular exercise, a balanced diet, rich in oxidants, and stress management can contribute to reducing the inflammation and oxidative stress in the brain. Modulation of gut microbiome. Emerging research suggests that the gut microbiome means microflora, the flora which is present in the gut, these plays a role in the regulating inflammation and the oxidative stress in the brain. Modulating the gut microflora or microbiota through the diet or probiotics, they may have the beneficial effect on the brain health. Now, the importance of the neurotransmitters in the brain functions. Various neurotransmitters are released in the brain which are responsible for the different type of activity, such as acetylcholine, serotonin, and dopamine, GABA, aminopentin, 5-HT, lots of neurotransmitter are there. What is here? I am discussing only the important. Acetylcholine, it is involved in the many cognitive functions, including memory, attention, and learning. It plays a crucial role in the brain's cholinergic system, which is important for the forming new memories and maintaining cognitive flexibility. Dysfunction of the cholinergic system is associated with the cognitive impairments, particularly in the condition like Alzheimer's disease. Serotonin. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter that regulates moods, emotions, and social behavior. It plays a key role in the modulating feelings of happiness, well being, and overall emotion stability. Imbalances in the serotonin level have been linked to the mood disorders such as depression and anxiety. Third one, the dopamine. It is the main regulatory, you can say, responsible for the activity of the whole body because it is related with the Parkinsonian disease. That is dopamine depletion. Dopamine is involved in the various brain functions, including reward, motivation, movement, and pleasure. It plays a important role in the brain. Imbalance in the dopamine level associated with the condition like Parkinson due to the dopamine depletion. In this condition, the dopamine is not released with the neurons, and this dopamine depletion is responsible for Parkinson, so that patient can't move, patient can't maintain his postures, so he can't walk, he can walk properly. So, tremor, rigidity, and akinesia, these are the symptoms of the Parkinson. So this type of disease may occur due to the dopamine deficiency, and schizophrenia associated with the increased dopamine activity. Suppose the dopamine is releasing in the lots of amount, it causes the schizophrenia, means overreactions of the over response of the brain, imbalance of their effects on cognition and the behavior. That is, if there is a acetylcholine imbalance, reduced acetylcholine level can lead the cognitive impairments, memory deficit, and difficulties in the learning and attention. Condition like Alzheimer disease and characterized by the significant reduction in the acetylcholine producing neurons and cholinergic dysfunction. This is responsible for the cognitive decline. Next is a serotonin imbalance. If there is a imbalance of the serotonin, low level is associated with the mood disorder. It includes depression, anxiety, and irritability. Irritation is a main symptom of the serotonin imbalance. Serotonin deficiency can lead to the emotional instability and reduced ability to regulate the emotions effectively. Dopamine imbalance, which is responsible for the Parkinson. Reduced dopamine release in the basal ganglia contribute to the motor symptoms in the Parkinson, such as tremor and difficulty in the initiating movement, tremor, rigidity. Excessive dopamine activity in the certain area, as we read immediately, it is responsible for the schizophrenia, hallucination, delusions, etc. Drug development targeting neurotransmitter system is implicated in the treatment of the dementia.
Ma'am, can we speed up a bit?
Sure, ma'am. Suppose psychotropic medicines, dopamine modulators, cognitive enhancers. These are the types of drugs which is already used for the treatment of the dementia. Here, the genetics and dementia relation, which type of genes are responsible for the dementia. We studied this earlier in the earlier slides. Now here the conclusion, the presentation, the whole presentation is covered with the various aspects of the serious neurological disorders, focusing on the pathogenesis of the dementia. Here the key points which we discussed, that Alzheimer disease, vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, neurotransmitter imbalance, and genetics and dementia. For the further research and collaboration can be done in the treatment of the dementia. For actually, there is no perfect treatment to for the Alzheimer disease or Parkinsonism or schizophrenia. Still, the research is going on. So, if anyone has any idea, he can contribute for the treatment. Thank you so much. So, uh, listening for me patiently. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neeraj. And it was such a wonderful lecture that lot of concepts have been cleared right now regarding, because it was a I had this doubt that what is the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's disease, and you correctly said that many people take them synonymous, that dementia is as it is equal to Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's disease. So, thank you so much, ma'am, for devoting your time and
Thank you
accepting
so
my
much to you
invitation.
and
Thank you. Thank you.
management of the ISF college. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, ma'am.